Welcome everyone to another video, and today we are going to take a look at a tournament run by one of Malaysia's best battlers, Shinlena86, in the APAC regional qualifiers for the Pokemon World Championship 2025. So just a bit of an insight on the player himself. He was the captain of the Crimson Tigers faction, of which I was a part of, and consistently placed in the top 3 of local tournaments, especially during the Sylph Arena days. For those that were playing back then, you know what I'm talking about. He went to Worlds in Hawaii last year and has been retired since then, and he has come back into the game with minimal training or warm-up to take another shot at qualifying for Worlds. So let's see how he does in these qualifiers. The qualifiers happened this previous weekend on the 12th of April 2025, and his team encompasses the following. He has Togetic with Fairy Wind, Psyshock and Dazzling Gleam, Guzzlord with Dragon Tail, Brutal Swing and Sludge Bomb, Golisopod with Shadow Claw, Aqua Jet as well as X-Scissor, Shadow Dripion with Poison Sting, Aqua Tail and Crunch, Claydol with Mud Slap, this season's buffed move of Rock Tomb as well as Ice Beam, with Credili with Bullet Seed, Rock Tomb and Grass Knot. So just a quick overlook of this team. He will have a problem against ice types in general with 4 Pokemon weak to ice. However, ice types are generally quite non-prevalent in this type of tournaments, but we might just see some ice types such as Lapras or Dewgong running around here. But for that, I think they do have Golisopod, which is a hard check to ice types, as well as Drapion as a softer counter to it. And another thing that might also be a problem for this team would be steel type Pokemon, with it being able to basically beat down 3 or even 4 of these Pokemons, and Claydol being the only hard counter to it. But again, steel type there's very little steel types that are actually meta in this format in Great League, so that shouldn't be an issue. So let us go into the battles here with round number 1 against YYDS 420 with Swalot, Guzzlord, Talonflame, Credili, Sableye as well as Azumarill. And as you can see here in the lead, it is a fairly bad lead with Togetic against Swalot. If it was me here, I would swap out maybe into the Golisopod to bait out those either the Sableye or the Azumarill for that matter, just so that we are able to have a better time later on with Guzzlord. But they decided to stay in here, which for me it will cause more harm than good, especially as this game drags on, because you will be needing to throw down your shields just to keep this Togetic alive. And as you can see here, Swalot is a very tanky Pokemon. It will be able to outlast the spamming game with Togetic, because Mudshot has to alternate between 5 and 4 fast moves to get to it, whereas if I'm not mistaken, you would against Psyshock you would need, I think, 5. I'm not sure whether you need 5 consecutive for every Psyshock, or it's still 5-4 as well, but one is a stab, but the Sludge from Swalot is a stab charge move, whereas Psyshock is not stab. Even though both do super effective, Swalot will win that matchup. So here, as you can see, they come in with the Azumarill against the Golisopod. This is what I mean by swapping into the Golisopod early game to bait out the Azumarill, because as you can see here, they will have the Credili in the back to face this Guzzlord, and the Guzzlord will have to take this down while taking on the debuffs, as well as taking down that Azumarill, which has quite a bit of health left and at this point they're just trying to delay the inevitable. I believe Shinlena will have another crack at it, and to try to and will try to tie the game here in game 2. And let us see what we have here for game number 2 for this matchup against YDS. We are just gonna wait this game out, and here they're just going to let it go because there's nothing else that they can do. So here in the game 2 we will have Goalie Support versus the Ghost Lord. This is a very good matchup for us because we have Accessor which does fairly good amount of damage, and here they did not shield the Accessor, which as you can see chunks out quite a bit against them with, I think it took about 70%. And here they are going to go for another Accessor, most probably trying to take a shield from the Ghost Lord, and now they are having a shield advantage in this mid game, and they do come in with the Cradily, and here they go with the Shadow Drapion with Poison Sting to charge up those Aqua Tails and crunch very quickly. And here this crunch will go through and will get a debuff on this Cradily. So with the defense debuff from crunch, it does neutralize the attack debuff that Drapion will get, which means that now they are having that Shinlane now have a 2 shield advantage going into this end game. And as you can see here, they will have a Swalot in the back again, just like the first match lead, but the difference here being that Togetic will have 2 shields whereas Swalot does not, and this would be a fairly easy game for Togetic to win because here we are able to tank I believe you can tank 1 sludge no problem, and they will definitely seal this Swalot's matchup and will have a shield and enough energy to get to a Side Shot or even Dazzling Gleam to take down this Cradily. So Shinlena is able to flip the second game to tie it up, and we will go into a third game to see who will win this first round of the APAC regional qualifiers. So going into the third game, we have Cradily versus the Azumarill, another perfect matchup here, and they will swap into the Swalot. So instead of swapping, I like this play how they don't immediately swap out into the Goalie Support, but instead debuff the Swalot first, because Swalot is very tanky and it doesn't have a high attack stat, and by just debuffing it even further, we will be able to tank the Goalie Support will be able to tank the charge moves better because Sludge was buffed before this season, and it does do quite a decent amount of damage right there. And here, as you can see here, they are able to tank 2 Sludge, even though and which I think they won't be able to do in normal scenario because of without the debuff. So here they are able to get both shields from Swalot and take them out, which means that this Cradily will have a fairly good time versus the Azumarill, and this Togetic will be unleashed versus the Ghost Lord. Ghost Lord does not have anything to do here in this match, and that is a GG. Shinlena will be winning this first game. Let's see whether we are able to witness a Dazzling Gleam right smack into the Ghost Lord, because it will be hitting it, and most probably like 2 or 3 other Ghost Lords for that matter, for super effective damage and take them out. So here they won't care about this Cradily anymore. The Cradily has done its job, getting Azumarill down to red health, and here we see Togetic able to get that Dazzling Gleam through. Let's see that damage, boom, and the snapshot to boot to seal the game. So leading into the round 2. He is 1-0 up or the records, and here they will go against Vardy 1 in the second round, who has Clotsire, Cresselia, Morpeko, Gastrodon, Jellicent, as well as Credilli. So this Cresselia is running Future Sight as well as Moonblast, which means that it will be, that means Guzzlord will have a fairly good time versus this team, because there is no hard answer for it, because Jellicent is resisted, Gastrodon will do neutral, Credilli will do neutral damage for the most part, with Bullet Seed being resisted. Morpeko will also be resisted all the way, and Clotsire will also do neutral damage. So as you can see here, they will let the Clotsire go down, and the Cresselia comes in and will take a lot of damage versus the Golem support. And here, as you can see, they are only able to go for Grass Knot, which is single resisted, and they have a Morpeko in the back, and Guzzlord can just sweep the game. But as you can see here, the Aura Wheel will still chunk quite a bit, because Morpeko is quite a glass cannon with fairly good coverage. And if I'm not mistaken, this Morpeko also runs Seed Bomb for the occasional Gastrodon matchups that it might find itself against. So here the Morpeko will be 2 times buffed in its attack move, but it doesn't matter because Credilli is in the back with a shield to win against this Cresselia, and it will be a win for game 1. So the opponent did not have an answer for the Guzzlord in game 1, so let's see what happens in game 2. Shinlena decides to lead the Guzzlord instead, because there is no hard answer for it. And here, let's see whether the Brutal Swing will go through first, and it does, which means that Guzzlord will be able to throw a full strength Brutal Swing into the Credilli, and I think at this point they will be able, even the second Brutal Swing I think will be able to take the Credilli out, even though it's debuffed. And here they swap out into the Shadow Drapion to take to draw out the Gastrodon from the other side, and also draw out the first shield of game 2 of round 2. And here they are able to come in with their third Pokemon, which is Credilli, to farm Gastrodon all the way down. And as you can see here, Earth Power does quite a bit, even though it is neutral because of that rock typing that Credilli has. And here they will come out with 6 Bullet Seeds, almost at 70 energy here for this Jellicent in the back. So yeah, fairly easy round 2 for Shinlena here, going to a 2-0 record to advance to round 3, which means that right now, as it is, the only hiccup was round 1, game 1, and they will be able to go into round 3 with a perfect record. Let's see how he does in round 3. So in this game, in this round 2, Shinlena was very fortunate to have an opponent with no answers to Guzzlord, and let's see whether that's the case for round 3. And it is not, because round 3 the opponent has Sableye with that Dazzling Gleam, also has Marowak, Jumpluff with the Fairy Wind, their own Guzzlord, Swalot with Ice Beam, as well as Lapras with the Sparkling Aria, as well as Ice Beam. So Golem support might not have as good of a time against this round 3 matchup, but Drapion will be able to get a shield nonetheless. So here they will come out with the Golem support to farm this Lapras all the way down. It will resist all of the charge moves that Lapras can send. However, the Shadow Lapras still does a ton of damage against Golem support. I believe you want to shield this to preserve as much health as possible. and they come in with their Guzzlord. And here I would say the Togetic will have a good time already in the back, especially when the last shield is down. And here they are going to be able to spam this Psyshocks, just like round 1 when the opponent's shields are down. Shinlena will be able to go to town and take down poison types with a fairy type Pokemon, and here they will win this first game. So it was quite a challenge for Shinlena, but they are able to flip that mid game quite well to seal the deal. As you can see here, Togetic does have quite a bit of health left to tank this charge move from the Guzzlord and to take the win. So here they are just gonna go for a Psyshock. Let's see how much Psyshock does to a Guzzlord, because it is double resisted and it does just enough for a fairy win to farm it down. Going to the second game, they decide to lead their Jumpluff, and their Jumpluff is met by a Shadow Drapion. Another good lead for Shinlena against M. Heisel, if I am reading this correctly, M. Heisel 0409. So yeah, Acrobatics will be shielded, and they decided to go for another crunch against this Jumpluff, hopefully taking a shield, and they will try to go for a third, but unfortunately they do get to a charge move first. Now Acrobatics will go through, and here they will swap into the Swalot back again, and this is good that they are swapping out into their Swalot, because Shinlena definitely does not want that versus the Togetic in the back. Unfortunately, they are now a shield down, which means that they have to take down this Swalot before Togetic comes into the field, because they might be able to take down the Jumpluff. They have to somehow take down this Guzzlord as well. Again, Guzzlord having no chance against Togetic, and here Guzzlord will have to swap into the Jumpluff, and again, just like second game, Jumpluff was just too healthy and just has too much firepower for it to win the end game, and Togetic will seal the deal. Dragon Claw and Brutal Swing. Oof. So this Guzzlord is completely hard walled in round 3, which means that Shinlena will go into round 4 with a perfect 3-0 record. And round 4 they will go against a fellow Crimson Tigers member, Metranja, a fellow Malaysian, also one of the best battlers in Malaysia. During the Sylph faction days, Metranja was our Swiss Army knife. He played all the leagues, right? He played a lot of Great League. He was also very good in Ultra League as well as Master League. Wherever you need him to fit in, he will do it. And he brought a team of 4 water types in the form of Swampert, Azumarill, Dugong and Toxapex, as well as Goodra and Annihilate to fill up the team. So quite an interesting team dynamics here for water type. So you can so that means it's a guaranteed at least one water type in the matchup. And as you can see here, Shinlena does bring in the Credili, but instead they swap into their Azumarill against the Credili here. I think the plan would be to debuff it as much as possible, and hopefully Golisopod is able to farm them down, I guess, because Golisopod's only neutral damage will be coming from the Shadow Claw, because Aqua Jet and Axizor would be resisted. So yeah, oh, they actually have a move with the Credili, so let's see whether this goes through, and unfortunately it doesn't. So here they are going against Toxapex, with the Golisopod. Golisopod has to go against 2 water types that resist its charge moves. Let's see whether or not Golisopod is able to take the win, because this shield from the Sludge Wave is very good, which means that they are able to preserve some health. Unfortunately, the second shield though was not very good because they shielded a Brine, which is resisted. And I think, yeah, if only he had that shield, shielding this player off would have been very nice indeed. But let's see whether or not it's enough. If it is enough, it will be very good here. It's just about not enough. Let's see whether he can make it. Oh god, getting that 1 bullet seed damage was crucial for that snipe damage. That chip was very crucial. And here, going into the second game, is versus a Gudra safe swap. The Drapion will have this, will hopefully try to get a debuff. I think the debuff is very crucial here, but they will let it go. Oh wow, Shadow Drapion is still quite tanky, and it just survived that Thunder Punch, which is very interesting. Now they will get a shield advantage instead. So yeah, going back into the Clay Doll to get more energy versus the Gudra now is very good. They're going to let go the Aqua Tail. So yeah, it just gets more interesting and more as we go on. And here, if they have an Annihilate at the back, it will be game over, but they don't. Instead, they have the Toxic Packs again with the Azumarill. So let's see whether Credili is able to do what the Golisopod was able to do in game 1 and try to win the game single-handedly. Because if it can, that means that Shinlena will go into round 4 with 3 2-0 matchups, and only the first game of the first round being their only loss. And here they decided to swap back into the Azumarill, immediately throwing the Grass Knot. It will be shielded, unfortunately, so they are going to shield this as to reciprocate shields, because Grass Knot will do super effective versus Azumarill, and it's going to do a lot more damage than anything that Clay Doll is able to do. And they are going to throw the Rock Tomb against the Azumarill, and let's hope that it is enough. Oh, it's not enough. It's not enough for this Azumarill, and the Azumarill will take out the Clay Doll with the Toxapex coming back in to seal the deal with Brine. I think Brine is enough. Not sure what happened there. I'm guessing it's just a Brine to take the Credili out, and it was enough from that range. So going into the third game here, they are tied 1-all, and we are going to see a Shadow Drapion versus Azumarill in the lead. They're going to start throwing the crunches to get the debuffs, hopefully, or just throw Aqua Tails for that matter. So yeah, I like the play, trying to alternate between the Aqua Tails and Crunch. It's to hopefully confuse the opponents from the calculations of the charge moves coming in. And here they are able to get in with the Credili to farm them down as much as possible. And I think Shinlena has found an opening here, because seeing Gudra in the second game, Shinlena is also banking on Mitranja to bring in the Gudra or even the Annihilate for the third game. And there it is, the Gudra, and Togetic will seal this game. They are able to go to 2 Dazzling Gleams, no problem. Able to tank, I believe at this point can tank 2 Thunder Punches quite well. Like, not sure about that, but we won't be able to know because they are going to let that go, and they will have to eat the Psy Shock on the Toxapex as well. And Shinlena has this in the back right now. They have a shield left. Toxapex is running low on energy and they will be debuffed most probably. Are they going to be debuffed, or Shinlena is just going to go for a grass knot? I think both methods will do fairly well, and they decided to go for the double rock tomb to win the game. Yeah, fair game. I mean, both played very well, went to third game. It's just that somehow or another, all 4 rounds so far, nobody has had an answer for the Togetic, except for Kaifeng right now has the Clodsire in the lead. One of the hard counters to Togetic, but then again Togetic Side Shock will be able to do some fairly good damage against Shinlena's against Kaifeng's Clodsire, and Kaifeng has Azumarill, Sableye, Credili, Shadow Drapion, as well as Goddess support to round out their game. So the opponent decided to bring in their Shadow Sableye into the matchup against Goddess support, while the switch timer is now desynced. Shinlena comes back into the Drapion, which is a fairly good matchup because it will be Dazzling will do neutral against the Drapion, and here they decide to come in with the Azumarill now in the end game to hopefully take down all the health that Drapion has, but instead we'll have to face the might of Credili. So Credili, I think at this point will be able to take Azumarill down quite easily, and maybe can also come out with some energy, and they do get energy. Whether it's enough for a charge move, it's to be seen. Is this grass not enough for the Clodsire? So it is not, but is the second one going to be enough? Second charge move, I think at this range of a resisted rock tomb will do enough, and it does. And they come, and Shinlena immediately swaps into the Shadow Drapion to apply the damage with a crunch, hopefully getting a debuff, and it just kills the Sableye. So yeah, they win first game. Second game goes to Credili versus the Goddess support. This is a fairly good matchup. Axizar will be super effective even though it is a rock type. So the common misconception that even I have sometimes is that rock resists bug types, but it really doesn't. So it will do super effective versus this Credili, as you can see here. And here, I'm not sure whether you want to let it. Yeah, if it was me, maybe I would have let it go. But then again, they might be keeping in mind that Clodsire might still be there in the back. So they decided to bring in their Shadow Drapion of their own. Shinlena decided to farm up some energy with the Goddess support before swapping out. And here, Shinlena decides to throw Aqua Tails immediately, trying to apply the pressure, hopefully getting that last shield out of the way. Unfortunately, they won't be able to do so. There's Aqua Tail. Oh, barely hanging on, but they did swap into Clodsire. Clodsire will be able to tank this Aqua Tail and take them out. So Shinlena going back in with the Aqua Jet. Aqua Jet will also be doing super effective damage, but is it going to be enough? No, it will not be enough to get to a second charge move here. I think if they had gone to a second charge move there, it would have been a fairly easy farm down for the Credili. But as you can see here, Credili will not be able to do enough for that matchup, and they will be able to go for the Earthquake versus the Credili. And yeah, the Drapion will also be able to do quite well here. The Drapion does have energy, and the Aqua Tail or Crunch will be able to win the game for Kaifeng. Going into the third game, Credili versus Shadow Drapion. A fairly neutral matchup if it can be said, but Shinlena is taking a fairly big risk here, swapping into the Guslord, because if Kaifeng had come into the Azumarill there, it would have been quite an easy win for Kaifeng. But right now with Clodsire coming in instead, they will have a chance to yeah, I think I spoke too soon there. Yeah, that earthquake changes things. I mean, if it was a sludge bomb bait, maybe this way the matchup will be a bit more open. Unfortunately, that earthquake does change a few things regarding this matchup, because now Credili will have to take down the opponent's own Credili as well as the Shadow Drapion, which still has quite a bit of health in the back. So yeah, I'm not sure how Shinlena will be able to come back if there is an opening, because right now it looks like the Credili is just farming a lot of energy. And here they are going to shield again. Oh yeah, this is game over right now, I think. Shinlena with basically one Pokemon trying to go against two will not have enough, especially with this CMP tie. Oof. Shinlena's 5th round just got from bad to worse. Having this CMP tie is just heartbreaking, to be honest, because they started off quite well. Unfortunately, Kaifeng was just able to adapt better for the matchup, and here Golly Support just does not have enough health to get to another X-Scissor to take the win. So after 5 rounds they will end. Shinlena will have a record of 4-1. Round 6 they are going against Arb Heal. I'm not going to say the middle part, you can just see it for yourself. So Arb Heal has an all shadow team of Sableye, Alolan Sandslash, Kanto Marowak, Jumpluff, Drapion, as well as Blastoise. So an all shadow team, especially with the Blastoise, the spice is just off the charts here with Arb Heal. So Guslord coming back in will try to farm it all the way down, but has to shield the Dazzling Gleam, which is fine because now they have Alolan Sandslash in the back. Alolan Sandslash and Jumpluff being their 2 Pokemons left, and they also have both shields still compared to Shilena's one. It is going to be a tough call because right now this Shadow team does have quite a bit of firepower against Shinlena's team. I can see Jumpluff causing quite a bit of issues for Claydol, for Golly Support, as well as Guslord. And they also have Alolan Sandslash as the Steel type, like I said earlier, Steel type being one of the things to note for Shinlena's team, because Steel type does resist Grass type, Rock type, Fairy type moves, Dragon type moves, and also Poison type moves, right? So as you can see, at least half of the movesets that Shinlena has is very much countered by this Alolan Sandslash, and it was a very decisive victory for Arb Heal in the first match. In the second match, Shinlena decides to stay in with this Drapion versus the Alolan Sandslash, hopefully get a shield in this matchup, I think. Yeah, but they shielded the Ice Punch instead, which means that they are quite in a deficit right now in terms of energy, and Shinlena decides to go for a 2 shield investment in the lead, banking really hard for the back to have something good for this team. with Golisopod and Cradily in the back, you would imagine you want to see something like a Marowak and a Sableye maybe, but even Sableye will do quite a bit of damage. I would think, yeah. So you can see here, Sableye will be able to throw another foul play in versus the Cradily, and Cradily will have to basically do the final two Pokemons on its own, and it will be the end of the road here for Shinlena in round 6. So Shinlena being swept in round 6, so this is the first round that Shinlena was not able to win any battles versus his opponent. Unfortunately, this all shadow team just has too much in the bank. So going on to the final round, Shinlena has to win this round, and hopefully the other matches go his way to advance, because having 7 Swiss rounds means that you will have to win 5 rounds in order to have a chance to advance to the next one, to advance to the playoffs, which will be happening on the 26th, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, 26th of April is the playoff. So to have a chance, they have to win this matchup, and right now the matchup looks quite good because Guzzlord versus the Swalot. Guzzlord does do a lot more damage, especially with shields in play. They will be able to flip this matchup, and Shinlena does recognize that opportunity to flip the matchup here, and they will throw this brutal swing to take the Swalot out. So now this Swalot, their opponent J Dracal has one shield, and they decided to catch the brutal swing on the Guzzlord, which is fair, because, and what's even more fair is Shinlena immediately swapping into the Togetic to take that charge move. Now Togetic, being a flying type, will be able to wall the fast move pressure that Claydol has, and they will be able to toss out Dazzling Gleam for very good damage. As you can see here, if Claydol tries to be greedy, yeah, you can see here, if Claydol tries to be greedy, they will be able to get to another charge move here, and they will catch that move on the Guzzlord. And now it just comes down to Golisopod tanking the next move for the Togetic to win it, and Togetic wins it in the first game here. The first game goes to Shinlena in the final round. It's a must win for Shinlena after stumbling in the race to 5 wins. After a very good first 4 rounds, he ended up on the receiving end of 2 losses, and now he has to win this last round, and the opponent decides to come in and catch the move on the Guzzlord here for the mirror match, and Shinlena decides the energy advantage on the Claydol will be much better served compared to preserving the Guzzlord. And here, oh wow, Shinlena is just going to let go of the Claydol, fully trusting in this Golisopod to end the game with against 2 Pokemon here. This is crazy. I've never personally done this, putting pressure on the Swalot, putting pressure on the Golisopod against the Swalot in this game to finish it off, especially with a Pokemon like Claydol that can give the debuff. It's just extremely tight. Not sure how he will be able to pull this off, but let's see whether he can, because shields are down. and Golisopod is debuffed, and Sludge will be able to take him out. So yeah, not sure. I don't think this next Orchidret is enough either, so that means the next Sludge will take the Golisopod out, and it will be a 1-all. There will be a decisive game 3 in round 7 for Shinlena. Let's see whether or not they are able to win. And it is a fairly good matchup with Guzzlord versus the Swalot. And as you can see there on the right side of that screen, Shinlena brought the Togetic into the matchup again because he saw how badly he needed the Togetic for that matchup versus the Claydol and the Guzzlord. And here, as you can see, now Guzzlord is down. They will come in with the Golisopod versus the Guzzlord. Now this is going to be fantastic. Let's see what's the last one. Oh, last one is a Claydol. So this is quite nice that the Claydol is in the back, because as you can see here, Golisopod is available for this matchup. So Golisopod having a shield can farm Claydol all the way down, and Togetic does have a fairly good matchup here versus the Claydol. If they can try to maybe swap into the Golisopod and try to reset the debuff, it would be very fantastic. And they decided to, they decided to come back in with the Golisopod, and they didn't take any additional damage whatsoever. And this is very good because now the X-User will put the Golisopod will put the Guzzlord very low in health, and Togetic will be able to farm them now with 2 Fairy Winds, and that is game. So Shinlena ended with a record of 5-2. Unfortunately, they were not able to make it into the top 16 to get into the playoffs. They ended up on 19th due to the tiebreakers. So yeah, that is all for this matchup. Very nice battles indeed, very intense. So yeah, hopefully he does remain out of retirement so that he can play more tournaments after this. And with that, that is the end of the video, and I'll see you in the next one.